Lai 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 lai
באר שבע.
Good morning, dear friends. Tens on duty. Japan, Kiev 10 number 3, virtual Germany, Petach Tikva number 2, and Be'er Sheva. There's a special power in the adhesion in the friends, since views and thoughts pass from one to the other through the adhesion between them. Each is mingled with the power of the other, and by that each person in the group has the power of the entire group. There's a special power in the adhesion of the friends, since views and thoughts pass from one to the other through the adhesion between them. Each is mingled with the powers of the other, and by that each person has the powers of the entire group. Chaim. Question for a workshop. What is required of us right now in the lesson, individually and together as a 10, in order to achieve connection in which divinity will be revealed? What is required from us right now in this lesson, individually and together as a 10, in order to achieve connection in which the divinity will be revealed?
I think that, first of all, great appreciation and gratitude for having been granted the opportunity to sit together and get a lesson in the wisdom of Kabbalah, which is the only means for the correction of the soul, and really the only thing that advances a person somehow towards his purpose.
Gratitude, request, to forget of all my concerns, my troubles about myself, and integrate in society, in the thoughts, desires,
to ask for the friends.
Yeah, to work together to increase each one's deficiency, and also our mutual deficiency, where each one can come out of himself into the deficiency of the 10 to reveal the Creator.
To give an impression to the friends, good impressions from the environment, from the path, from the love, and regarding the wisdom of Kabbalah.
And ourselves to try as much as we can to get that inspiration from the friends, to value and be grateful for this opportunity, and want to be small next to the great ones.
Yes, and to constantly add, even if just a drop, but to constantly add to our connection, meaning regardless of what we do, what we aim for, if we do it together, there will be power in it, and the light will direct us to do this in the optimal manner.
To constantly search for that point of connection, even though most of the time you feel you're just trying to find something in the dark and there's no grasp upon it, you have to keep searching for it. And this effort is what will work.
To remember that we are in a very special state. We've been awarded with receiving the opportunity to discover the Creator. And from that opportunity, well, we need to realize it, to fulfill it, to ask the light every moment, every second, to give each friend the ability not to disconnect from that point.
Yeah, to pray for the friends, to think about them, to succeed in every moment, to put my intentions in the success of the 10. My first 9s feel it.
That they'll unite, discover unity, and in that unity we can magnify our desires, our prayer, which will be more accurate, more correct.
To be in happiness. I have a feeling of happiness that we reach this holiday together. And if we make sure we're in happiness above all disturbances, to be in connection and gratitude, we'll succeed for sure.
And from that happiness, well, to just relate onto others in the form of a prayer or a request for the friends, to constantly ask to see them as great, as connected, to see the quality of bestowal between them.
These efforts draw the light that reforms, that changes us. It is actually what does the action. We just have to demand. Like there's that half shekel on the camera here that keeps reminding us. It reminds us what our job is, to put our half shekel.
To think that I, by my efforts, well, I don't make these efforts for myself, but rather I contribute now to the general bank, our general bank account. And by that I strengthen everyone. And so each and every one does for the rest of the friends.
Yeah, and to think that now it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here in the morning lesson to make efforts in love and connection between us, just so in every moment we won't come out of this thought that the Creator and the friends are together.
Yes, now we're coming to the end of the first workshop, and we have to commit to make an effort to maintain this. We're not just moving on. We've said all of this, all of the things that we've said together. We've said them in order for them to happen in this lesson. And we have to act this out. We have to...
Yeah, and the king is in the city. And we need to behave towards that.
Exactly. The king is coming to the city. And how happy would he be if he was announced as present and that there's none else besides him, and all the problems are imaginary problems unrelated to him, and we've just received this point, this gift from Providence in order to connect it with the friends and to receive that lack for bestowal which we want to attain in this lesson, to help each other in that. And, well...
There's the greatness and the inspiration in the air and the expectation for connection and revealing the Creator between us, exactly like the question was asking. And also now, above more than 100 friends from all of Israel right now are working to make the hearts and the building kosher for this connection in Passover. So we're all together here, the world Kli, in this attack on connection and revelation.
So what's needed is just our commitment to hold on to this. And not even that, because it's not certain that we'll manage to hold on to it, but just to aspire to hold on to it, to be in this effort to support one another, so that we may hold on to it.
And a good indication for working correctly through the lesson will be that the Creator is constantly throwing us out of this feeling and supposedly rejecting us. And for us, we have to see it as a sign that this is the way He wants us to advance, and to bring us to the state that we will turn to Him again and again.
Yes, and then in every moment, to examine in what kind of effort I am in respect to the friends, in respect to the Creator.
This is the Arvut. That's what we're signing on and obligated to do together, to implement it. And also when we don't have it, we do have it.
This holiday is felt as a great joy, great happiness, and also a great danger. It's something very serious has to happen. Hello friends, we remind you that we do not use cell phones during the lesson, with the exception of friends on duty who have been authorized to do so. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, please stand up, hold the microphone close to your mouth and speak clearly. We'll be opening our Passover book or the writings of Rabash. In any case, we will be reading the article, Why We Need Reply Unto Your Hearts to Know That the Lord He is God in the Work. We'll be reading Rabash's article, Why We Need Reply Unto Your Heart to Know That the Lord, He is God in the Work, Article 16. The article can also be downloaded, read at kab.info. Sorry, www.kabbalah.info. Why we need reply unto your heart to know that the Lord, He is God in the work. The Zohar asks, Know this day and reply unto your heart that the Lord, He is God. He asks, this verse should have said, Know this day that the Lord, He is God, and in the end, and reply unto your heart, since knowing that the Lord is God qualifies one to reply so to the heart. And if he already replied to his heart, it is especially so if he already has knowledge. Also, it should have said, reply unto your heart, with one bet, the letter bet in Hebrew, lev, instead of heart with a double bet, levav. He replies, Moshe said that if you want to insist on this and to know that the Lord, He is God, then reply unto your heart. Know that heart with a double bet means that the good inclination and the evil inclination, which reside in the heart, have mingled together and are one. So the bad qualities of the evil inclination will become good, meaning that one will serve the Lord with them and will not sin through them. Then you will find that the Lord Havaya is God, that the quality of judgment called God is included in Havaya, which is the quality of mercy. We should understand what this comes to teach us when the Zohar says that it is impossible to know that the Lord, He is God, before a person achieves the degree of reply unto your heart. We should know what is the quality of God in the work, and what is the quality of mercy in the work, which is called Havaya. We should also understand what is the evil inclination in the work, and what is the good inclination in the work. In the work, when a person wants to achieve adhesion with the Creator, what is the evil inclination and what is the good inclination? For the general public, this is simple. Those who observe the Torah and commandments are regarded as following the way of the good inclination. And if, God forbid, they transgress the Torah and commandments, this is regarded as following the advice of the evil inclination. But what is it in the work when walking on the path toward achieving adhesion with the Creator? It is known that the creatures were born with a nature called the will to receive for one's own sake. For this reason, man cannot do anything that does not yield some benefit for himself. Hence, the Torah tells us, if you observe the Torah and commandments, I will reward you. As it is written, if you indeed obey my commandments, I will give the rain for your land in its season, and you will eat and be satiated. Rambam says, they are taught to work only out of fear and in order to receive reward, until they gain much knowledge and acquire much wisdom. They are taught that secret little by little. It follows that for the general public, the evil inclination and the good inclination pertain only to the observance of Torah and commandments. But they do not speak at all about the prohibition to work in order to receive reward. However, when speaking about the works of bestowal, the evil inclination and the good inclination have completely different meanings. The good inclination means that it leads a person to obtain the delight and pleasure that he wished to impart upon his creatures. as it is written, that the purpose of creation is because of His desire to do good to His creations. But in order to avoid the shame, there were tzimtzum, restriction, and concealment, where the creatures cannot receive the good before they have equivalence of form, called adhesion, or dvikut in Hebrew. This is obtained by doing everything for the sake of the Creator. At that time, the tzimtzum, the restriction, is lifted, and there is room for the good to spread within it. This is called the good inclination. The evil inclination is when the inclination advises a person to work only for self-benefit, meaning only to receive. Since this is disparity of form from the Creator, whose desire is only to bestow, and that disparity of form causes one never to be able to receive the delight and pleasure, therefore, this inclination is called bad, because it harms the person by not letting him work in order to bestow, which causes him not to be able to receive delight and pleasure. According to the above, we can interpret what it means when a person should work with himself to love the Creator with both inclinations. The thing is that as long as one has two inclinations, they are in dispute. Sometimes the good prevails and sometimes the bad prevails. It follows that two forces work within man in a mixture. This is called light and darkness working together. As long as the bad has not surrendered, the tzimtzum and concealment that were on the kelim, the vessels of the evil inclination, called the will to receive for oneself, control it, and he cannot receive the delight and pleasure. It follows that then a person does not obtain the good. For this reason, he is in a state of din, judgment, meaning that he says that he does not see the Creator's mercy, so as to be able to say that the Creator leads the world with the quality of mercy, but rather with the quality of judgment, since the person cannot see His guidance as delight and pleasure. Thus, as long as one has no vessels of bestowal, one does not have kelim, vessels, in which to be able to receive delight and pleasure, and naturally he remains devoid of delight and pleasure. The person then says, who is to blame for this? Only the Creator, for not giving the creatures what He should give them. Since creation was in order to delight His creatures, because of the correction, so that there would not be the bread of shame, the creatures are unfit to see it because of the inherent evil in man, which is called, in the work, the evil inclination. Accordingly, we can understand what we asked, what is judgment and what is the mercy in the work. Also, what is the good inclination and what is the evil inclination in the work? Judgment means that a judgment was passed over the vessels of reception, called the will to receive for oneself, that the light does not shine within it. It follows that when we say that there is judgment in the world, God forbid, it means that there are no vessels of bestowal that can receive delight and pleasure in the world. For this reason, suffering and lacks reign in the world, or deficiencies. But when there are vessels of bestowal in the world called mercy, as our sages said about the verse, and to cleave unto Him, as He is merciful, so you be merciful, meaning that as the Creator is the giver, the bestower, so one should see that he has vessels of bestowal. And when man has vessels of bestowal, the Creator's quality of mercy becomes apparent, meaning that the Creator bestows delight and pleasure to the creatures in the vessels of mercy that the creatures have. Thus, once a person obtains the vessels of bestowal, meaning that the evil inclination is surrendered to the good, it means that the evil inclination already wants to work in order to bestow. This is called reply unto your heart, meaning both hearts. Then he realizes that the Lord Havaya is God. In other words, until now, it was only mercy and not judgment. Which is to say that what he saw, that his guidance was judgment, now he sees that this was a reason to come to the quality of mercy. Therefore now they see that the Lord, He is God, that the quality of judgment is included in the Havaya, which is all mercy. But before he achieved the state of reply unto your heart, the Creator's guidance seemed to him as good and bad. By this we can interpret the meaning of the verse, and God made it that he would be feared. The Creator deliberately made it so that there would be the governance of the klipot, of the shells, so he would be feared, meaning to create a need to obtain the greatness of the Creator. Otherwise, everyone would remain still, inanimate, without knowledge of holiness, and would settle for the work of observing the Torah and commandments without any need to work in order to be rewarded with the greatness of the Creator. They would remain with the same mind that they had when they were little children, and would have no need for the Creator's help. We must know and understand what our sages said, which is, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. This means that only when a person has the evil inclination, he needs the spice that is found in the Torah. Otherwise, he does not need the Torah, since he can observe the commandments without the Torah. But when he has the evil inclination, and he comes and asks, what is this work for you? Or when he asks Pharaoh's question, who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? And he must overcome him, then he needs the Creator's help. The Zohar says that the help of the Creator is the light of Torah. Meaning, it is considered that one is given a soul from above, by which he can overcome the bad within him. It follows that if there were no klipot, man would have no need to receive the help of the Torah from above. This is called, and God made it that he would be feared. There are many issues concerning the help that comes from above. One, the help or the assistance is simple. The Creator gives him the kingdom of heaven called permanent faith. Since before a person is rewarded with vessels of bestowal, it is impossible to have faith because there is disparity of form between the creature and the Creator. A person is therefore still unfit to receive the good. Therefore, when he receives the bad, he must lose the measure of faith that he had, since this is a correction, so he would not slander the Creator, God forbid. For this reason, before one is rewarded with faith, he must have vessels of bestowal, since when he has equivalence of form, the restriction that was on the vessels of reception is lifted from him, and he receives delight and pleasure. Only then he can be at the degree of permanent faith. It follows that the Creator must give the first assistance, giving him vessels of bestowal, which are called a second nature. 2. By having constant disturbances from the klipot, from the shells, he always needs the help of the Creator. By this, a person needs the Creator's help, and through the help that he receives from above each time, It is possible that the Naran Chai that he has in his soul will be revealed to him. It is known that there is no filling without a need. Hence, the klipot are the cause of the revelation of Kedusha, of divinity. As it is written, and God made it that he would be feared. According to the above, it follows that the thoughts that the klipot send to a person cause deficiencies in the person.
And the deficiencies are called kelim, to receive the fillings to fill the lack. In the kelim, in other words, the questions that the klipot ask, which are wicked questions, and Pharaoh's questions, called who and what, cause a deficiency in a person, which pushes him to ask the Creator to help him overcome those questions. It follows that these klipot keep a person walking on the right path that leads to adhesion with the Creator. At that time we see that the klipot were not enemies of Kedusha, sanctity, as it seemed during the work. Rather now we see that they are the ones that caused being rewarded with divinity. The like of this is presented in the Zohar, and there's no God with me, refers to other gods, which are Sam and the serpent. For then it will be revealed that Sam and the serpent never separated between the Creator and his divinity, and was but a servant to hurry the redemption of our souls. The Creator's guidance from the beginning will appear throughout the world, and then sinners will cease from the earth, and the wicked shall be no more. That is unlike what it seems to us during the 6,000 years that there was a government of objects of Kedusha, which are Sam and the serpent. We see from this the matter of klipot, that the Kedusha must sustain, as in God made one opposite of the other, is that we need the klipot to be servant helping the Kedusha. This becomes revealed only at the end of the correction, in general public, and to the individuals at the end of the work. At that time the matter becomes revealed in retrospect, as it says, and was but a servant to hurry the redemption of the souls. It is said in the Zohar, her price is far above pearls. He asked, it should have been said worth, meaning that it is harder to buy her than pearls. Why does it say her price? He replies, she sells and turns over other nations, all those who do not fully cling to her and are not whole with her. And then they are all far from those high holy pearls, which are the secrets and the internality of the Torah, for they will have no part in them. This is the meaning of her price is far above pearls. It therefore follows that the klipot, which are other nations, she sells them. That is, since there is the quality of other nations, when a person begins to walk on the path towards achieving dvikut, and in the middle of the work he becomes negligent of the work, meaning falls into the governance of the nations who control him, he cannot emerge from their control and achieve dvikut with the Creator, called equivalence of form. At that time he thinks that it is because he is incapable of this work, and this is why he is under their governance. At that time, the writings tell us that the fact that he was fallen under the control of the other nations is for his own good, so he will not fool himself and think that he is walking on the right path and can continue in this state without feeling that he is marching on the wrong way. For this reason, there are klipot called other nations outside of Kedusha, and a person sees that he is in a state of descent, and he has no connection to sanctity, Kedusha. At this time, he should seek advice how to be saved from them and march on the right path that leads to dvekut with the Creator. It follows that the klipa keeps the kedusha. This means that if there were no klipa, that the Shekhinah could sell him there to be under their governance, man would remain in his lowliness, and he would think that he is advancing on the path towards dvekut. But when he is shown from above the deficiencies that he is in, he can feel that he must correct his way. This is the meaning of the words, his price is far above pearls, meaning that the Shekhinah gives the man the authority of the klipa. In other words, at that time he sees how immersed he is in self-love, and that he has no desire to be a giver. That is, he is so immersed in self-love that he never thought that he was such a sordid person, the worst. It follows that we should interpret that the words "and God made it that he would be feared" mean that specifically through this klipa, when he sees that it governs him, this pushes him to do all he can to achieve dvekut in the Creator. However, when a person sees that he is under the governance of the klipot, since he sees that they are the ones who sent him the known questions of who and what, and he cannot provide them with the right answers that will settle in his heart, he thinks that he must be so ignoble that he cannot answer them these simple questions. At that time, one should know that this is not as he thinks, that these questions are tough. This is so because the Creator gave power to the klipot to ask tough questions, so that a person will know his real situation, that he was created in disparity of form from the Creator, and that he should achieve equivalence of form. It was done on purpose, so man would not be able to answer these questions, so he would need the Creator, meaning that only the Creator can answer him, because man's entire intellect is built on a basis of doing everything within reason, and man's reason understands only that which concerns one's own benefit. Therefore, they are correct. However, one must know that we were given the path of observing Torah and mitzvot above our reason, since our entire reason understands nothing but that which concerns self-benefit. This is called faith above reason. Before a person can go above reason, anyone who comes to him and asks questions that are built on the reason of the body, it is impossible to answer them in a manner that the reason will understand. Therefore, why did the klipa come and ask these questions, which a person certainly cannot answer? The klipot know that they are correct, and that they will not get answers for them. But the question is, according to the rule that it is known, the fact that the klipa comes and asks those questions comes from the side of kedusha, as was said, and God made that he would be feared. Thus, why do these questions come to him? The answer is that he is sent these questions from above, for specifically through these questions he can observe the mitzvah of faith above reason. This is the meaning of God made it that he would be feared. This means that the questions came to him in order to give him an opportunity to be able to reveal the matter of faith above reason. If he has no questions, he cannot know that he is going above reason. But when he sees the questions and does not want to provide answers, which reason mandates doing, he says, now that these questions came to me, I can observe the commandment of faith, which is above reason, and I want to take the opportunity. Accordingly, we can understand why, if the Creator knows that these are tough questions which a person cannot answer with reason, why does He send them? The answer is, as it is written, and God made it that He would be feared. That is, specifically through these questions, a person can observe the commandment of faith, called fear of the Creator. That is, specifically now, he has an opportunity to observe the mitzvah of faith above reason. Our sages said, a mitzvah that falls into your lap, do not miss out on it. We should interpret what a mitzvah that falls into your lap is the mitzvah of faith, which comes into your lap through who and what questions. Do not miss out on it, but rather accept it right away, and do not argue with the questions and think about answering the questions. Rather, take the questions as they are, since now you have an opportunity to observe the mitzvah of faith. So, do not miss out accepting it as is, with all the toughness of the questions. This is so because anything that conflicts with the intellect, with what the intellect argues that it is, do not worthwhile to work on the path. Faith above reason and the intellect is greater. This is why they said, do not miss out on it. Do not miss out on the opportunity that you received through their questions. Therefore, through the what question, which is the question of the wicked, who says, what is this work for you, that you want to work only in the order to bestow? He says, what will you gain from this? You should work only for you, only for your benefit. This is the vessel, meaning deficiency for the Creator, to give him the place of deficiency, since the wicked's question interprets him from having the power to work in order to bestow, which is called being rewarded with a second nature, called in order to bestow. This is the meaning of the reply unto your heart, meaning that the evil inclination too will work in order to bestow. Through Pharaoh's questions, who said, who is the Lord that I should hear his voice? When he overcomes this question, he is rewarded with permanent faith, which is what the zzsolt says, meaning after he's been rewarded, reply unto your heart. At that time, he comes to the degree of the Lord, he is God.
How do we hold ourselves in any situation, whatever it may be, to see that it all comes in order to form, to shape us correctly, whatever it may be. And we need only to adhere to the path, to stick to it. Everything that comes only from the Creator, or from either from the side of good or from the side of bad, supposedly, but it all comes in order to orient us correctly in the direction of the goal. So how do we organize ourselves in order to receive everything that comes and accept it as good, as proper? That's the question.
We always need to start from technical things, which is the purpose of creation, to be good to his creatures. From this point, we determine intellectually that there's none else besides him, that's my compass. And from this point, through the friends and society, we need to get support by actually giving support to the others, and gradually build the correct reality upon the fake reality.
And all of these orders form us in respect to the goal. Again and again, we come to the lesson, we read an article as wonderful as this one. Suddenly the picture becomes more vivid, and it's clear to you that everything that happens to you is exactly what needs to happen.
And the correct order between us is exactly what the Kabbalists describe. We have the structure that if we aspire to be in, we'll be able to implement what they're advising.
What does it mean to implement it, to execute it? The light executes it. We make an effort, and the light works and brings us change, even if we don't feel or seemingly don't see any results or any benefit from the work. The light works, and we only need to go with faith above reason.
Yeah, and in order to do that, you have to be on the path. You have to constantly be studying with the group, with the books, with the Rav, as much as possible to adhere to the system.
Through tricks and reminders of sorts that we have in our society, each and every friend is obligated to show the friends how he sees everything as coming from the Creator, and good and bad aren't in respect to the ego, but we relate only to the fact that it comes from the Creator.
And this works when we hold the 10 in the Arvut, in the group, the thoughts, the support, the prayers for the friends, to hold on to them, to ask the Creator to do it, to implement it. So from this we build that field.
Yes, the field that the Lord has blessed. We need to gather all of these organs, limbs, and you do this in the 10. You're the Malchut and the Keter in respect to them. We need to gradually build up this Havaya between us, and this is a wonderful thing. You're not stuck in your own situation, but you generate a new one. You build the Creator.
That's the main part of our livelihood, that we awaken one another towards this understanding that now, because we are working in the 10, there's a part that is going through these states, some are going through those states, but as long as we're working together and we want to include everybody in this action we're doing, so everybody gets that understanding and the forces to advance.
Yes, because from where do you receive the correct thought, meaning the correct perception? Namely, that everything comes from Him. This isn't always a natural mode of thinking, it's quite unnatural actually. But it comes from a field that we generate amongst ourselves in the group, an atmosphere, a kind of sensation that we ascribe everything to the Creator, and then one is integrated in the 10, integrated in the group, and it works on him. He begins to perceive reality through this new sensation.
Yeah, it all comes from the integration, or at least the desire to integrate in society. And then the thoughts of the friends truly work, and man suddenly starts thinking differently, feeling differently, and it's all a result from wanting to integrate.
So he always wants to be on the path, to constantly search, where are the friends, where is the Creator? Every single moment.
Also when Pharaoh is revealed, and also when these forces in society come from the Egypt side, so that we also do that. That's our work. By that we're advancing when we take the evil that's revealed, supposedly, and remind about the good and where it truly came from.
To constantly be with the 10. Wherever you may be, you are inside with the 10, with the Kabbalists, with the writings. It's always with you.
Yeah, and to overcome the evil inclination is what is written here in the article above himself, It doesn't matter what happens to advance this boat called the 10, the group. That's our goal. We're actually building that new state. We're integrating in the friends' deficiencies. We're constantly passing on our deficiency to them, and that gradually it all accumulates.
And integration is mainly through prayer, where we ask for one another, so that each friend will have the powers of the importance of bestowal above all the desires that are revealed within him.
Yeah, main thing is the prayer.
Yes, and constantly ask, for whom and why am I doing this work?
Because these questions are revealing our desire. This material that we're correcting.
Yes, for whom and for what are we? What are we doing here? To constantly remind, because it's constantly forgotten.
Rav, how can we settle all these, that everything that comes to us, everything we feel, everything that awakens in our mind and heart, we feel it from the world around us? How do we ascribe all of this to none else besides Him and to good and benevolent, only in order for us to connect all these things to one source, and through that reveal Him? When the Creator is revealed, if we connect all of the different influences from us to Him, internal, whatever awakens inside, also around us from the environment, everything, if we ascribe all of it to none else besides Him, and we disappear as the owners of the action or thought or desire, that every action or thought or desire from us, all our efforts is just to annul ourselves and make room for none else besides Him. How do we then reveal Him in the new vessels of bestowal, the vessels of Binah? That even though we have no shirt, we don't need that shirt. It's enough for us to annul in order to discover the Creator. Please.
First of all, everything happens within the 10. And when we come from this starting point, this assumption of where we want to reach, we start to work with the friends, and that's our ship, our boat. We begin to work with the reforming light, and gradually the perfection of creation begins to be revealed. And this is a long process, through integration with the desires of the friends. Then the knowledge comes that everything exists and works for the benefit of benefiting His creatures.
And it's a wonder that we have everything we need right now, that just to annul what exists, we don't need extra forces beyond what we have, just in the opposite way. And we don't even have to make it in the positive, just annul.
Yes, I don't know the answer, but I'm watching the screens as we speak, and I see the great friends from all over the world who are connected doing this workshop with us and are with us in this entire maneuver through Passover and everything, actually. And this fills me with confidence. And I'm confident that this mutual work brings us to the correct thoughts and the correct actions.
The main thing is the scrutiny. I don't know if our goal is to get some one correct answer, but try and scrutinize all these questions between us.
To be in this feeling, as we're now seated in a circle, in an inner circle between us, and try to ask for this to remain throughout the whole day, every moment.
We remind ourselves that my place to subjugate and reveal the Creator is the 10. And throughout the day, I have to see how, in my relations with them, I bring these words of annulment, bestowal, love to an actual action.
And actually, the reason we live is to enliven the 10. We're not needed if we do not bestow. We need to annul, to ask for help in being a zero in respect to the center of the 10. And whatever we have only in order to bestow to the center of the 10.
Rav, what internal efforts do we have to make in order to start feeling ourselves annulled on the degree of ibul, conception? What inner effort should we do in order to feel ourselves completely annulled towards the Creator? Obviously, it's through the group. Towards the Creator, we can't work directly in order to reach the degree of ibul.
It's what we read in this article. To take a step in faith above reason, to emerge out of your own selfish benefit and to try to come closer to the 10. And we thought, as we sit here with love and our great powers because we're helping each other, but at home there is basically a corpse that can't do anything, can't move, has the ability to perform this, and the divide between this and that is huge. But in general, where to go, you know, the eyes can see it, but you don't have the powers to do it.
And you get the powers here in this workshop. This is exactly the effort we are doing right now. And from that we get an example how to behave upon the different degrees of you that are revealed. Yeah, and there's like a paradox here. The more I engage in annulling myself, then I'm more centered in myself. So a man has to put all his efforts in the connection in the 10. I think the main thing is to ask, to relate everything to the Creator. And from this point to ask for forces to annul in the friends, to bestow, to start and end with Him. The effort has to be in every moment, not to let go of the who and what. That the goal always has to be in front of the eyes, to ask who and what am I doing this for.
It's always an opportunity. The 10 enables us to work against our ego and to act, to operate in such a way that will bring us closer to ibul through annulment. A desire awakens in me, I annul it in respect to the 10. I use it for the benefit of the 10 and not my own.
To depict the state as if we're entering the state together as one, that we annul ourselves, we're asking for this force that is doing it all to perform this wonder, to make the state that we will be able to do everything in order to bestow.
Yes, to do this with the power of the Creator, to ask for the Creator's powers for the 10. The end, the final action outcome is in the initial thought. You need to annul yourself above reason, and that's true annulment, where you do it for the 10. Maybe not exactly correctly, but still to make a step towards equivalence of form.
That's our main attention have to be towards the request for the friends in the 10, for its perfection.
Yes, and this probably is the only effort that truly accumulates, to invest our strength in the right place and to see an outcome.
That in every moment to ask that the friends will be in adhesion with the Creator and not forget about it, not come out of this feeling, not leave this circle, and be in the scrutiny.
Yes, it follows that I need to always find my current role in the system of the 10, where exactly it is that I can strengthen the structure of it by trying to bestow to them constantly.
And not to come out of this concentration, not to let go. Because every time we forget, we have to rise above it with prayer. Every time, not to let go.
My effort needs to be to annul myself or to integrate with the group. What is the correct effort regarding conception, regarding ibur? To annul myself or to integrate into the group?
It's like asking what's more important, masach or chozer or restriction. If I don't annul myself, how can I even start getting your deficiencies? All of our work to be open towards you, that's above reason, above my own benefit. I want to come here and feel you, that point that Creator gave you to get forces and to give you mine, in order for us to build a mutual vessel.
The final outcome is the initial thought. I think that if one wants to integrate in the group and to be one with the power that connects the group, by that he is also obligated to annul himself.
Yeah, this effort to integrate in the group, that's a self-annulment. It's not that I have to do it separately, but the fact that I aim myself towards the 10, towards the swoon, to adhere in it, to acquire its qualities, that is the annulment.
Also, both directions are good. Just integrating in the group is safer. To annul myself, well, to annul myself in respect to the group, that's also an answer.
Yeah, it's actually the same action, to look at the group, to see how am I in the friends, in their desires, so automatically I annul my own.
Yes, part of the time I'm annulled and part of the time I'm integrated, meaning the will to receive that erupts, I annul that. I don't bring it into the 10 and start dispersing it there, giving it. I use it in order to integrate and help the friends to work according to spiritual principles.
Yeah, we're correcting the shattering, and we have to unite. That's the whole direction, the whole correction. And we annul, we perform restrictions in order to enter that bestowal, because the binah is what connects us.
Rav. Let's move on to Tas.
Moving on to the next part of the lesson. We are reading in Tes, Part 2, Inner Observation, Chapter 8. You can download the book online and may ask questions through Kap TV. Tes, Chapter 2, Part 2, Chapter 8, Inner Observation.
Well, as per usual, we hold ourselves together with this intention for the reforming light. Please.
Chapter 8 explains 1. Why during the continuing of the lights, the greater the avyut, the better, and when they are clothed in the vessels, the greater of the purity, the better. 2. The reason for the opposite value between lights and vessels. With the upper vessels grow first, and the lights, the lower ones, enter first. Why are the circles, the igulim, regarded as the light of nefesh? 86. The measure of the light that continues depends on the avyut of the masach, the coarseness. It has been thoroughly clarified how the entire measure of the influence of the upper light and the emanated depends on the measure of the avyut of the masach. The greater the coarseness, the avyut, namely Bchina Daled, is poured in the level of Keter, and 1 degree less is poured only in Chokhmah. Finally, the purest masach of the upper light does not pour anything because it is absent of avyut.
The avyut of the drawn light depends on the light, on the masach. And it's opposite, seemingly, because the masach, whose coarseness is in Keter, is greater than the masach, whose coarseness is on the degree of Malchut. We'll see as we continue.
2. The measure of the clothed light depends on the purity of the vessel. However, all this refers to the influence and the expansion of the upper light to the emanated, because the giver always gives in the most coarse. It is so because the greater the avyut of the masach, the higher the light that expands. However, it is not so with regards to the conduct of the reception of the upper light by the emanated. There, the superior light is received in the pure vessel, and the inferior light received in the more coarse vessel.
So what is a kli av and a kli which is pure? The purity of the kli. What is the kli? Is it avyut, coarseness, or masach? Let's read on.
87. The upper come first in the vessels, in the lights the lower one come first. We have said above that the giver gives in the most coarse, but the receiver in the purest. In order to explain these words, I will clarify for you the order of the entrance of the lights into the emanated after the correction, at which time the lights are taken slowly, gradually. The light of nefesh is received first, then comes the light of ruach, etc., until the light of yechidah. It is opposite in the vessels. Keter is acquired first, then chokhmah, etc.
Questions? Is it well understood or not? You know what? Continue reading. Afterwards, we'll come back to it.
87, number 2. When acquiring the light of nefesh, it is clothed in the vessel of Keter. This is the order. First, the emanated with 10 vessels. Keter, Chokhmah, Binah, Zer, Anpin, that consists of Chagat Nehim and Malchut. In other words, the upper vessels come first. Then the Nefesh is considered that the Nefesh dresses on the Kli of Keter, which is a pierced vessel. The reason is it doesn't have the light of Ruach. It is that the Masach in the Keter still does not have any Aviyut. Not even that the Bchina Aleph and the light of Ruach is only poured by the encounter of the upper light with the Masach of Bchina Aleph. Because the Masach is in Kli of Keter, meaning it is pure without any coarseness. It does not have any more of the light of Nefesh ascribed to the Malchut. 88. When acquiring the light of Ruach, the light of Nefesh descends to Chokhmah, and the Ruach is dressed in Keter. When it acquires a Viyut of Bchina Aleph, the light of Ruach is poured through the encounter of the upper light with this Masach of Bchina Aleph. However, the Masach is in the vessel of Chokhmah is one that is extended in the light of Ruach to Partzuf. Still, the Or Ruach clothes the Kli of Keter, and the Or Nefesh that has previously had the Keter descends to Chokhmah. The reason for this is that the order of the reception of the lights is such that the more important lights clothed in the pierced kelim, and the lower clothed in the more coarse. In other words, it is in the opposite order of the pouring. Hence, the Ruach, which is more important than the Nefesh, ascends and clothes in the Keter, and the Nefesh descends and clothes in Chokhmah.
What? Is it clear? Isn't it? It's difficult to go into it after all these articles. And in general, it requires a new kind of order, a different kind of absorption of the material. What is it, Zvika?
What does it mean, aviyut, coarseness, and purity?
Coarseness. You know what coarseness is?
I hope I do.
I have before me a carrot, and there is a steak before me, right? I have a desire for a carrot, which is, lukewarm. And I have a desire for a steak, which is very serious. This is called coarseness. If I acquire the intention to bestow to the host, and I use the carrot and the steak, where is my vessel purer? Regarding the carrot or the steak? With a masach and without a masach? Meaning, with a relation to the host or without? Without relating to the host, of course, the vessel of the carrot is purer. I want it in 100 grams of pleasure, and I draw it with 100 grams of desire. Now, regarding the steak, I draw 10 kilos of desire and bring 10 kilos of pleasure. And if I want to bestow to the host, it's different, right? Then my purity in the vessel of the carrot is small. How much can I bestow with it? And my purity in the vessel of the steak is significant. This is called the opposite relation of lights and vessels.
When he acquires a viyut of Aleph, so that by the encounter with the upper light and that Masach, the light of Ruach, how does he acquire the viyut?
The light comes and develops the Kli further every time. Repeatedly. It's very simple. Where does he acquire it? The created being doesn't acquire anything. The process that he goes through, that's what we call it.
It's automatic, or I perform an action?
Of course it requires an action. If you're not in a state where it's possible to increase your coarseness, then it's not done. The light doesn't work on you. You need to perform some actions, some preliminary actions, in order to be ready for the for increasing your coarseness. Right? Yes?
I go according to the example of the light in the steak. What does it mean that the light of ruach clothes in the carrot?
No, that's not written here. It's written in your mind.
So if I understand correctly, if there's a masach, the higher light is clothed in your pure vessel, right?
Yes. And which vessel is pure? The vessel of the steak. As it had 10 kilos of coarseness, and I now want to do this for the host. So which gives to the host more? The steak. So it's considered pure.
It's not the one who draws the light?
Of course, and therefore it's his intention to bestow is greater.
But the opposite value of lights and vessels, well, maybe I'm confused, but the
more egoistic you are, if you correct yourself, you become more holy.
But in the vessel of the steak, the light of nefesh is clothed, not ruach.
What is in this vessel? I don't understand.
That's what I understood that's written here. It's considered that this nefesh comes in the kli of keter, which is more pure. So what I'm trying to understand is, what does it mean, if you can even understand this before spirituality, that the light of ruach is clothed? Well, what does it mean?
It's revealed. It's revealed.
How, on that same desire, I can get different lights? What does that mean?
There's no such thing. There isn't. It seems to you. What is it? Is it the same keter as was in the carrot? It's the same keter now in the steak? Of course not. I would say it's a completely new set of 10 sfirot, a new partzuf.
So the emanated, as he writes here, is completely different.
Of course. Either he was a criminal and now he's a great righteous person, tzaddik, or he was just, I don't know, a little liar, and he now repents. All right? Yes.
Sergei from Moscow is asking, what does it mean that the light that descends to the vessel if it all happens in the masach?
The masach is the vessel. The masach is the vessel. After the restriction, only the masach is the vessel and not the coarseness, and not the desire. Meaning the intention in order to bestow, which the kli, which the vessel develops, is its relation to the Creator, and that is the vessel. Yes? You need to be thinking of our friends who are now laboring in the lower floors here, or you're working hard and praying to be in their stead, right? Here we're looking at them right now. Yes, we see how you're just lazing around there. Everyone's standing next to their tables, doing nothing. Nah. All right. Well, so continue.
89.
Yes.
When acquiring neshama, it is clothed in the kli of keter. The ruach comes to chokhmah and the nefesh to binah. Afterwards, when its masach acquires the abviut of bet, it is regarded that the masach is in the kli of binah. By the encounter of the Or Elyon with that masach, the light of neshama is poured in it, which is more important than the lights of Ruach Nefesh. Here too it receives the light of Neshama in the purest thing, meaning in the vessel of Keter. This is because the light of Nefesh, which is the lowest of them all, comes down to the Kli of Binah, where the Masach of Bchina Bet is, which is now the most of vessel, and the light of Ruach descends from Keter to the Kli of Chochmah, and the light of Neshama is the most important clothes in Keter, the purest of them.
Ken.
Yes.
So what exactly is happening in Keter that first he can only receive the light of Nefesh, then Ruach, and then the Neshama? What is the process he's going through?
First of all, we must understand that it's not the same thing. It's not the same Kli. It's not the same vessel. Each time, it's completely a new set of 10 Sfirot. It's a new vessel. It's a new created being, new coarseness, a new resistance, a new masach, a new returning light, reflected light. It's all new. But we're talking here about the relationships between the parzufim, between the vessels. And their relations are such that what happened before, meaning in the small vessel, there was the light of Nefesh, and now it became the light of Ruach, so the relation between them is such that now the attainment it had before descends, and in its stead comes a new attainment. And each new attainment is received in a more pure vessel, and the greater the coarseness he works with, the more pure are his vessels. So he has 2 vessels, Nefesh Ruach, 3 vessels, Nefesh Ruach Neshama, but always the light comes, clothes in the light, in the Kli of Keter, and the degree of Malchut, its coarseness, determines where the lights, or which lights, will be clothed. Right, so ask further questions.
It's the first time that I have this thought that for the vessel of Keter to receive the light of Neshama, it needs the vessel of Binah to receive the light of Nefesh.
Yes, of course, but it's only called the vessel of Binah.
But there's always like the softening of the vessel in order to be able to receive. I don't know how to express it. But the ability of the light to receive a new light every time.
Go on.
I can't express it.
The vessel receives a new light each time. You said everything correctly. Well, the vessel receives a new light each time. But again, you have no vessel in which there are no 10 sfirot or 4 discernments. There cannot be such a thing. And so when you say, I had a kli, which is only kli de keter, it's false. You had all of the 4 discernments, and they received, or 10 sfirot, and they received the light of nefesh. Now, this vessel received a greater coarseness, which in relation to the previous one was called Aviyut Aleph, and now he receives the light of Ruach, 10 Sfirot. If we're talking about the old vessel in relation to the new vessel, we say that the previous one was the vessel of Keter with the light of Nefesh, and the new vessel is the vessel of Chokhmah with the light of Ruach. But we only say that. It's always 10 Sfirot, not 9 nor 11. Is that clear? Or isn't it? Come on. Say what you think.
Is there a way to understand what the difference is between Keter that received Nefesh to the Keter that received Ruach afterwards? Because they're both called Keter. I guess they're connected.
Keter means the uppermost discernment in the Partzuf. Yes.
And what's the difference between this keter and that keter?
I, once upon a time, in attainment number 1, then I had an accident, meaning a fall, a descent, disconnection, confusion, what we call the hardening of the heart or the burdening of the heart. A new coarseness was revealed. Now I don't want this wisdom of Kabbalah, nothing, and so on. Then some time passed. What mind doesn't do, the mind doesn't do, time does. And I came back. Now I went through all of these things, and I returned again to the connection, the group, the study, and everything. Right? A greater coarseness. Achievements can now also be greater. So, in respect to what I had before, where I was comparatively pure, compared to today, then my attainment of today is also greater than my attainment of back then. Is that clear? I think that each and every one here feels somehow, to some extent, that he understands more, feels more, agrees more, you could say, more experienced.
So the bigger attainment comes
greater coarseness.
Greater coarseness, which is actually a rejection, a bigger rejection.
Of course, therefore he has a greater masach and a greater light, meaning greater attainment of the Creator. Why? Now with the coarseness that's revealed, nevertheless he clings to the Creator. What is it, Zvika? Is it not clear?
How can you explain it? Here too, he's receiving the light of neshama in the pure kli, because the nefesh is lower than all.
Every new great attainment he always receives in the vessel of Keter. But his vessel of Keter is a new one right now. It's not the old Keter. Once I had the head of a baby, then the head of an adolescent, then the head of a man, and so on. You understand the difference in coarseness, in the ability to contend with things.
I understood what you're saying. I don't understand the sentence he says here.
All right. Half an hour more, and I'm telling you, you'll see how in a few minutes or a few more, you will all begin to think of this material in a more correct way.
Why is the vessel of Keter? Because the Or of Nefesh is the lowest of them all.
The light of Nefesh is the lowest, most inferior, because it is the smallest. It's meant for revelation in a vessel which is only in aviyut, or coarseness of shoresh, or the carrot, as we said. A little further. We need to begin. And then, as we study, it works on our emotion, our mind, it formats it, and gradually we begin to think as the author here. All right? I'm not saying not to ask, but to also give it time. What the mind cannot do, time can. Yes.
So there's always 5 discernments, but because of my coarseness, I receive them like nefesh, like...
There cannot be any less than Havaya, and there cannot be any less than Naranchai. From Kachab Zon, there cannot be. Otherwise, there's nothing to speak of. It doesn't exist. If it exists, then it exists in whole. A small measure or a large measure. But there's no little in spirituality. Right? You heard? It must be a whole kli.
So the 5 illuminations, I call
these 5 lights, you call them nefesh, or you call them...
What? How do I call it? It depends on my coarseness?
Yes, but it's always 5. But we're not talking about 5 and Kabbalah. That's obvious. He's talking about the relations between the Partzufim. There, in the light of Keter, Nefesh is revealed. Of course, it's 10 Sfirot. Of course, it's Naran Chai. But all in all, it's called Nefesh. And now it's the light of Ruach, and later on, it's the light of Neshama. All right? Great. Yes. We need to make an effort to just accept it for once and all. What is it?
A few friends here, they don't understand why in the most coarse vessel the weakest light enters. There's a friend that is saying that it's sorrow what we're going through. Or
after the restriction, the Masach, and the reflected light, the light enters according to equivalence of form with the vessel. Previously, I had the desire for a steak. In that desire, I received. In that very same desire. Right? Now, I have a desire not to receive pleasure in the place of the steak in Malchut, but rather, where can I bestow with this to the emanator? That is called my Keter. I elevate my desire. The resistance to it, the desire to bestow, my ability to bestow from Malchut to Keter. And then the Keter becomes the most powerful bestowing vessel. The coarseness rises to Keter, to bestowal. There, the greatest light clothes. Although, who makes this great light in the Keter? The Malchut. She's the cause. She has the desire for the steak. Without this egoistic desire for a steak, I wouldn't have been able to be so pure as to just, I'm dying to give to him. Just only to bestow. Now, the light cannot clothe in Malchut because Malchut feels the desire for the steak. What does Keter feel? The desire to bestow through the steak. Right? That's how it is, me and the host. In my intention, in my mind, the steak isn't there. In my intention, in the mind, I have, how to bestow to the host, how to be in adhesion with him, how to transfer my sensation to him, how to fulfill him. What connection is there between that and a steak? Almost non-existent. It's felt in the Malchut, and in the Malchut, from the Malchut, it moves over to the Keter. What transfers? The pleasure from the meat, the piece of meat? No, the pleasure from who it is that gave me and to whom am I giving. It's a new kind of calculation. It's different, although it is based on the meat that exists in Malchut, right? All right? Just think about it. There can be many other examples. Food, sex, family, money, respect, knowledge, from all of these things. Later on, we'll switch over to spiritual pleasures where it's... Yes, continue. 90. When acquiring the light of Chaya, it clothes in the Keter, Neshama descends to Chokhmah, Ruach to Binah, and Nefesh to Zerampin. When the Masach acquires the coarseness of Bchina Gimel, it is regarded that the Masach is now Kli de Zerampin, being Bchina Gimel, the third discernment. Then, by the encounter of the upper light with this Masach of the third discernment, the light of Chaya is poured, which is more important than the light of Neshama. For that reason, it must be received in the pure Kli. Consequently, the light of Nefesh, the lowest of all, comes down from the vessel of Binah to the vessel that is now the most coarse, being the vessel of Zerampin, where there exists the Masach of the third discernment, Bchina Gimel. The light of Ruach, which is in Chokhmah, now comes down to Binah, and the light of Neshama that is in the Keter descends to Chokhmah. The light of Chaya, the most important, clothes in the Kli, the Keter.
Okay, and now he's going to say next.
91. When Yechidah is acquired, it is clothed in Keter. Then Chaya descends to Chokhmah, Neshama to Binah, Ruach to Zerampin, and Nefesh to Malchut. When the Masach acquires the coarseness of Bchina Daled, it is considered that now the Masach is in Kli de Malchut, the vessel of Malchut, which is Bchina Daled. At that point, through the encounter of the upper lights, with this Masach of Bchina Daled, the light of Yechidah, the most important light, is poured to it. For that reason, it is received in the purest thing, meaning in the vessel, in the Kli of Keter. Consequently, the light of Nefesh, the lowest light, comes down from the Ampin to the vessel of Malchut, with a Masach of Bchina Daled, which is the most coarse. The light of Ruach descends from Binah to the Kli of Zerampin, or Neshama descends from Chokhmah to the Kli of Binah, and the light of Chaya descends from the Keter to the Kli of Chokhmah. Then, the newly arrived Or Chokhmah clothes in Keter. Now the entire light from Naran Chai reached its appropriate vessel, the one that is ascribed to it.
Yes, Niv.
So what does it mean that the lights, after the light of Nefesh clothes for the first time in the Kli of Keter, Ruach clothes in the vessel of Binah, what does it mean that it clothed in it and so on?
Where?
From the second stage, we said that the degree of the vessel is measured according to the intention, the Keter.
The lights always descend relatively. We're speaking about Partzufim. The light that was in Keter supposedly goes down to Chokhmah, right?
Yes.
And into Keter a new light comes in, which is called Ruach.
Yes.
So what are you asking about? It's two different Partzufim. It's a new Zivug Daka, a new coarseness. It's all new.
And what determines the level of the vessel, the Keter?
The Aviut and the Masach.
According to how much it can clothe the pure light in its Keter.
Yeah.
So what does it mean that if in Keter there were 10 Sfirot, in the first time, meaning in the most pure vessel of Nefesh, there were 10 Sfirot, and there are 10 Sfirot in the vessel of Ruach now.
Yeah.
What does it mean that the light of Ruach now clothes in the vessel of Chokhmah?
That now there's an additional light in the 10 Sfirot.
What does it mean that there's additional light?
A greater light. An additional light. A greater light that first it was a weak light called Nefesh in all the 10 Sfirot. Now in all the 10 Sfirot there's a stronger light called Ruach. Why? Because instead of the Aviut of Shoresh, the vessel is now bestowing with Aviut Aleph.
So it turns out that, again, now, who determines the level of the degree?
The Masach.
The Masach of the Keter or the...
There's one Masach. In the entire Kli, there's one Masach. And there's Naran Chai in the whole Kli. But this, compared to that, we say here it's the light of Nefesh, and this is the light of Ruach. Wait, we had, yeah.
Regarding the spreading of the lights, the extension of them, we can understand it perhaps in regarding to what happens with Aviut. Malchut now works with Aviut Daled, and
Malchut was working with Shoresh. 10 Sfirot in Shoresh, 10 Sfirot in Aviut Aleph, 10 Sfirot in Bet, and that's how it works.
Here, in the end, it says that the light of Yechidah that comes now clothes in the Keter. So what coarseness of Aviut does the Keter feel?
What Keter feels, I can't say it. It's a question that there's no room for this question. Like, Keter that feels the Aviut.
That's the question. The whole Paltzuf, with what coarseness does it work?
What's he working? What Partzuf are you talking about?
I took the last example.
So I guess Dalit.
So all of the coarseness of this entire extension of the lights, it's all Aviut Daled.
Yes, all the Partzuf is Aviut Dalit. But who's determining? The Malchut, when it starts working with Dalet, this Malchut works with Dalet of Aviut. That's why she works with her first 9 Sfirot and all the reflected light. And here it's in the Kli de Keter, the light of Yechidah, it can be clothed.
Thank you.
And that's also a question. What does it mean that Yechidah is clothed in Keter? Meaning all the words here are slogans.
It's just when we say the vessel of Keter, then the question pops up, what is the coarseness? The vessel of Keter.
That's how we call it. That's what I'm saying. 10 Sfirot every time, separate 10 Sfirot. And we try we take into account, we measure, we compare this with that. So these 10 Sfirot with these 10 Sfirot with those 10 Sfirot. But it's always 10 Sfirot, no more, no less. There's always their own Neranchai and Kachabzon. It can be any other way. And only the relations between the Partzufim. But every Partzuf we say not a Partzuf but Keter, Chochma, Bina, because we call it according to the general state within it. Yes.
The more we advance on the path, does the coarseness grow?
If you advance, it grows. You should say it opposite, that when the aviut in us grows, so we advance.
Does it mean we've corrected more desires?
We? I know who you're talking about.
The group, the coarseness of the group. The more it grows, it means that the group advances on the path.
Yes.
So it means that we've corrected more desires, right?
Not yet. Correcting the desires is with the Masach.
So what develops the coarseness? What causes it to?
For now, we are getting an increasing aviut, so we will see that we're in that aviut. That is called that we are still in Egypt, in revealing the evil, either from the good or from the bad.
Yesterday I wanted chicken breast. That was our desire, and today we want the steak. What happened to us to make us want the steak? To understand that the chicken breast is least than the steak.
Because you're in a group. You have a general desire of the group. There's a teacher for the group. There's books, all kinds of processes. That's why the general light, the Creator, works on you and increases your desire, meaning taking you through all of this development of Egypt.
I'm trying to understand what's the stage that comes, what comes between the chicken breast and the steak? Does it mean that I've corrected the desire on the way and then I move on to the steak? I have a greater coarseness? Or
let's say if you're a beginner, so you're in a state that you feel that you're advancing, you understand more, you feel more, you have a nicer, better society. I feel good in Egypt. I've reached a group, great group, everything's okay. From day to day, understand more, I feel more, I'm happy. You remember those times, Tzvika? They were back then. And afterwards, as if I lost the desire, I lose flavors. I look at these faces, they don't seem so nice to me. I don't know why I'm here. There's way greater pleasures out there. And now I'm thinking, why did I leave them? And my wife and my family says, why? What do you have here? On the other hand, if I let go of it, what will I have left in my life? What, this beastly life? To die like everybody? I don't want to die like everybody. I want to attain something in my life. This life still seems more important than my beastly existence. Maybe touch some eternality, and then I see that I lost on both sides. I have no corporality, I have no spirituality. 7 years of hunger. And in this way we advance to the state where we scrutinize things. And you see that to live for the corporeal fulfillment, it's not worth it. The world helps us with this. The Creator shows us that this whole world is a deceiving lie. And I learn and understand more, but until we reach that state, there's nothing to do, no solution. To run away, it's not a solution. Some run away, okay. They run. They're still not ripe for advancement. So they say it's not, the group is wrong, the teacher is bad, the method isn't working. It doesn't matter. He who flaws does it in his own flaws. They want to justify themselves, and it's natural. But those who stay, poor people. But along with that, they understand more in their lowliness that there's no other choice but to reach a state where they explode from their cry. And that's how we reach it. But this is the matter of not the quantity but the quality of the work. As much as they gather together, they can bring more pressure on themselves, and that speeds up the development.
So if I understand correctly, the more such thoughts you have, the greater your aviut is.
Yes.
It means that the kli is pure?
Why pure? There's no purity here. There's no masach.
There's purity only when there is a masach?
Yeah.
And how do you measure the extent of the light that enters?
According to the purity of the vessel.
Meaning that if the aviut is greater, there's more place for the light?
If the aviut is bigger and there's a masach on it, the aviut becomes purity. The aviut in the masach causes the purity in the keter. And then there's equivalence of form between keter to the upper light. There must be an equivalence between the light and vessel there, that there's no difference between them. And then the light fills the vessel.
And what causes the aviut to purify?
The masach.
What allows you to build a masach?
The reforming light that comes to the group, the prayer that comes from the group towards the light.
Thank you. Jose Antonio from Puebla is asking, when the aviut grows, does the masach grow too?
It's not a must. There could be that you're given a aviut, but you still didn't acquire a masach. But that should awaken the masach. That's why every descent is actually an invitation for prayer, invitation for building the masach. We don't build the masach, we invite it, we cry out, we demand it. and then the light that reforms build the masach. Then the coarseness plus masach equals light.
Christian from New York is asking, what determines the level of the avyut in the masach?
The avyut. The avyut first, the masach is a result. More? No? Good. Keep going. Keep going.
Item 92. The difference between the influence of the or and the itlabshut of the or. Now you see the great difference between the order of the pouring of the Or Elyon in the Partzuf and the order of the Itlabshut of Or in the Kelim. The giver needs the most Av Bechina because Or Yechida can come to the Partzuf only when it has a Masach on the Kli of Bechina Daled. Prior to that, when such an avyut was not present there, but a thinner avyut, meaning that of Bchina Gimel, it was impossible for this important O, called Yechida, to be poured in the Partzuf. However, when this important O is drawn to the Partzuf, it is not clothed in the Kli of Bchina Daled, but in the purest of all, namely, Kli of Keter.
Yeah. Questions? Keep going.
Item 93. All the lights that come to the Partzuf are received only in Kli of Keter. By the same manner, Or Chaya, which is only poured in a Masach of Kli of Zeranpin, meaning Bchina Gimel, when clothing the Ne'etzal, it does not clothe the Kli of Zeranpin, but the purest Kli, namely, the Kli of Keter. It is the same in Or Neshama, which is only poured when there is a Masach of Avyut Bet in Kli Debina. Yet, when it is clothed, it clothes only Kli de Keter. Likewise, Or Ruach, which is only poured in a Masach of Bchina Aleph on Kli of Chokhmah, when it does clothe, it does not clothe the Kli of Chokhmah, but the purest Kli, namely the Kli of Keter. Thus, each and every O that comes to the Partzuf comes first in Kli de Keter, as we have said, that the receiver receives only in the purest Kli. It is so, although the pouring came through the most Av Kli.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Can we say that actually the Kli of Keter that has received the light of Nefesh,
You receive the light of Nefesh, then it descends till the Malchut, and in the Keter there's the light of Yechida.
and what happened is that the light changed that initial Kli and gave the ability to
The
feel
light that clothes?
that gradually purified the Kli, and what follows is that that Kli builds a new attitude to the Kli called light.
Why the vessel purifies? That's the question.
The question is about the Kli that has discernments in the light, has an attitude toward the light. Its attitude toward the light is nefesh, ruach, neshama, and so on.
I can't answer that for now. You're asking this. The light that clothes in the vessel, what causes the vessel?
And the different names are the Kli's impression from the light. It's not that the light's different, but the attitude of the Kli is.
we're talking about light without a vessel is a simple light. All the discernments obviously come from the vessel, clothed in the vessel. That I can say for now. You're asking too internal, and I don't want to go into that. But the question's correct. Keep going.
Item 94. Igolim do not receive the Or Elyon because they do not have aviyut. From the aforesaid, you can deduce why the Igulim do not receive any influence from the upper light, but must receive all their lights from the light of Kav, of the line. It is although the Kelim of Igulim precede the Kelim of Yosher of the Kav. It is a simple matter. They do not have any aviyut because all their four pchinot are equal. Thus, only kelim of yosher in the kav, which do have a masach aviyut, are poured upon by the Or Elyon, and the igulim receive from them.
So the light from yosher passes to the igulim, even though the igulim come before the yosher.
Item 95. Any degree that receives from another and does not have any form of bestowal in and of itself is regarded as nefesh. For that reason, the light of igulim is regarded as the light of nefesh. The rule is that any degree that is not influenced by the upper light, but receives its illumination from another degree, that light is called the light of nefesh, or the light of nekeva. Because the igulim do not receive from the Or Elyon, the upper light, but receive their illumination from the kav, the line, they are considered as the light of nekeva, or the light of nefesh. It has also been explained about kelim of yosher, that if the entire aviyut in the masach had been purified, then the influence of the upper light is no longer there. In that state, all that it has is the illumination from the previous degree, which is the light of nefesh.
Meaning it doesn't matter what kli it is, we're talking about the way the lights are accepted. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya yechida. As much as it draws them in and processes them, as much as it has connection with the light. According to that, we call the lights that come into the vessel Neran Chai. Yes.
Before he talked about the kelim, the vessels of the igulim, the circles that receive no light,
that don't receive the light themselves, but only through the kav.
Only through the kav, right? And still there's a problem with four pchinot.
The four pchinot are on the vessels of the igulim, the circles, before the kav, before the tzimtzum, before everything. When we talk about the beginning of creation, that we have four pchinot. These four pchinot are circles?
I don't know.
So I'm telling you, they're circles. Because they, for now, have nothing. The light that expands builds the circles, and only the response from below, from the created being, that is revealed, his desire to enter in relation with the emanator, he builds the yosher. But from the creator, it's all circles.
Meaning there's a situation here where the igulim are only from top down, and still there are four pchinot of the development of the Or Yashar, and it's something that repeats itself in the kelim of igulim, which is something that happens over and over.
Yeah, also in yosher, four pchinot. In that, the created being can interfere. He can only interfere into what is happening with him towards the emanator, not more. To react, to respond. How he would get the providence of the emanator towards him, That is all of the work of the created being. His ability to respond. He likes it or not, receives it or not, identifies with it or not. But in according to that, he starts seeing all kinds of new phenomena, new actions of the emanator upon him. But actually it all comes from above as circles only.
Tov kadima. No.
Well, keep going.
Maxim from Peter is asking, how is it possible that in spirituality, he writes about it in the Gulim, it doesn't project light because, after all, the spiritual world is a world of bestowal.
The circles can't do anything. It's circles. It's nefesh. There's gray lights there from Ein Sof. The light of Ein Sof is in the circles. We call that light nefesh. Why? Because it's passive according to now whatever he has. That's why it's called nefesh. There's no created being. The being doesn't react yet. That's called, and you give life to all. That's it. When he starts feeling, that's already called the light of ruach. Okay? Dudi. No, well, you today. Did you ever hear that they say about you, what are you making all winds here from? Meaning you're already starting to be more outstanding than others. So then, from ruach and onward, it's called the created being. Nice. I'm happy that you're all dumb right now.
Ken.
Just to ask to better understand about the inverted value between lights and vessels. I mean, there's no contradiction between the law of equivalence of form and Rab. Malchut does everything through the first nine. The Malchut determines. The first nine have nothing. Let's put it this way. It's as if I have a certain desire. And besides the desire, I have different tools of how to realize that desire. But the hands, the legs, even my head, these are means of how to realize the desire. So the oppositeness is between what and what. If the light that goes into the keter always fits it, of course it does, says Rab. So what's opposite there? To the measure to which Malchut builds the ketel in a pure way, by that it causes the ketel to be filled with a certain light that fits it according to its equivalence. That the measure of bestowal on part of the ketel, by the Malchut of course, and the measure of bestowal on part of the light are equal, and they meet in the ketel. And this oppositeness between the kli, between the light and the kli, goes up and down. The more the light of nefesh goes down to the kli of malchut. You can say that, but the raglaim, they're such that they walk in the dirt. The hands, they're a bit cleaner. In the head, they're thoughts. The heart has actions of its own, and so on. Everything. Don't relate to the tet rishonot, the first nine. Don't attribute anything independent to them. But the malchut determines everything. Desire, that's all there is. Desire, and the way the light's impressed, with the way the desire is impressed by the light. So the way the Malchut is impressed by the first 9 that format it, that shape it, and how she responds to the first 9 correspondingly, that comes from the point of its intensity. On the inside, you have this microprocessor that responds. Everything comes from him. The first 9 have no private functions. Malchut's ability to put the biggest screen.
There's a masach only on Malchut.
So the strongest, the coarsest masach causes the strongest light to enter the keter?
Malchut determines in which way her qualities, the first 9, they are qualities of Malchut. Without Malchut, there are no first 9.
Without a masach, the inverted value between lights and vessels wouldn't exist.
Obviously, well, yeah, you can say yes. There's a lot of things that, what's up with you? This is your place here.
The Parzuf of Galgalta. It has the biggest of Yud. Its Masach comes from Pchina Daled. So what, the Ner al-Chai is only in the Or Pnimi?
There's Ner al-Chai of direct light and Ner al-Chai of reflected light. They clothe upon one another. What? What so? If I discover that the landlord gave me pepper, salt, meat, fish, and so I have to react to it? Yes or no? How do I respond? With reflected light?
Yeah.
And according to everything I feel and what he gave me. So I have Ner al-Chai and reflected light.
And in the Or Pnimi?
In inner light, I also have Ner al-Chai, of course, but it's different. Ner al-Chai, not what I had in my Rosh. That's where I calculated. I decided what 20% of the Ner al-Chai, so I receive it in the Toch.
Now, every light is in its vessel?
How can it be that the light isn't in its vessel?
No, because previously we said that first the Or Nefesh comes in and so on.
And also, when Nefesh, he's in his vessel. It can be otherwise.
I never felt, I never saw with my palate. Never saw with my palate. Why is it not Gmar Tikkun in Galgalta that receives all the lights in its opening? It's not a matter of receiving and the kelim, but the end of correction can be only in Galgalta and in all the Parzufim from above down, all the 125 degrees can't be there because they have no chisaron for the end of correction yet. They have no independence. They don't have that own independent degree called Adam. We're talking about that it's not yet working independently, it's not detached from the Creator. This is why it's called from above down. It's called Tzira Aleph, the first axis.
That example of Parzuf of Galgalta, when the light is working of Yud Dalet, the 4th level coarseness, the light that enters Galgalta goes through all the stages. First light of Nefesh enters the Kli of Keter, and then the lights go through all those states until it enters the Parzuf of Galgalta.
I'd put it this way. Every Sphira discovers a light of its own. The light that enters Galgalta, you can say that it's light. But when it goes into every place it does, it's revealed as the light that belongs to that place.
But the principle that Baal Salam explains, that light, Nefesh always enters first to Keter, and then Ruach to Keter, and then this frequency of entering and exiting, no, there's no exiting, but the entering, as you explained, it's not the same Parzuf, it's Parzufim, it's states of a Parzuf, different states each time, meaning he has to exit and then come back in. So this process entirely takes place in the Parzuf of Galgalta?
Sure. Every movement is an entire Parzuf. And even more, in all of creation, and all of the Malchut of Ein Sof. Yeah.
In what way the inverse relation of lights and vessels expresses in the relationships between the friends in the 10?
I can't say. Such relations do not exist yet. We still don't have a masach. The inverse value between lights and vessels, that's already the masach. If it's not a masach, were it not for the masach, then what you have is the direct relation in a small kli, small light, big kli, big light, according to the aviut. Whereas with the masach, then the light doesn't enter the aviut itself, the light is above it. That's already faith above reason. And therefore, we can't ask about where does it happen. Let's put it this way. Dudi is giving you a hard time, he's cursing you, he hates you. The more he does it, the more you love him. Suppose. Still doesn't exist. Because it's not according to the mother. It's not like with a mother and a child that loves him, utter love. But it's a relation with the Creator that does things. There has to be 3 lines.
I simply asked because your instruction in the study of tests is to try and see these things inside the 10.
Preferably.
So, is the 10 arranged in Igulim and Yosher, in circles and lines?
Of course everything's arranged that way, but I'm really afraid to talk this way. It'll confuse you. I'm interested for you to do simple, specific work that's related to what we're doing now, and the quicker for us to reach the exit as quickly as possible, to escape the exile. Quickly.
Your Ganad is asking, why are you happy with this dullness of the senses?
I like seeing you stupid because then I seem to myself, then I feel smarter. We have to go through this stage. It's very good. You learn a lot from it. And we're moving on to the Passover booklet.
We'll go to the next part, and before that, a song.
ביחס שלי אני המכריע, במקום לקבל רוצה להשפיע, תיקון אמיתי יגיע אלינו, בתנאי שאני אחיה עבורנו, אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים, אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. היחס שלך הוא טוב ומטיב, ורק בזכותך נוכל להשיג, תכונת הבינה אלינו תשיב, נרצה השפעה כמוך נגיב, אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לבנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לבנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. לה 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 בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים.
השיעור מבוסס על מאמרים מהספר כתבי רבש. את הספר ניתן לרכוש באתר kab.co.il או בטלפון 1-700-509-209.
שלום, אנחנו קוראים בספר.
Hello, we're reading from the Passover booklet. The article, What Are Banners in the Work? Starting with the words, the Creator made a correction. What are banners in the work? Starting with the words, the Creator made a correction. So that when we receive the delight and pleasure from the Creator, we will not feel shame about it, which stems from the disparity of form between the receiver, who is the creature, and the Creator, who is the giver. The correction is that before a person has the desire to bestow, which is in order to be an equivalence of form, it is impossible to receive the real abundance that the Creator wants to impart upon the creatures. And since the desire to bestow is against human nature, we learn that there are 70 nations of the world within man. In other words, each person is a small world, as it is written in the Zohar, and the quality of Israel in man is under the governance of the nations of the world. This is regarded as the people of Israel being in exile among the nations, when they haven't the strength to go against the desire of the nations of the world. For this reason, the people of Israel asked the Creator to deliver them from the exile they're in among the nations, meaning to be able to work for the sake of the Creator. Also, our sages said, Israel who exiled, the Shekhinah, divinity, is with them. We should interpret this The way Bala Sulam said about what our sages said, a disciple who is exiled, his teacher is exiled with him. He said that this means that when the disciple is in exile, meaning suffers a descent, in his eyes his teacher is also in descent. That is, when a person is in descent, he has no taste in Torah and prayer. It is because his teacher exiled with him, meaning that all the matters of the Kedusha are in decline in him. As well. And he looks at everything as though there is no importance to anything spiritual. This is considered that spirituality is also in exile. By this, we should interpret that when Israel are in exile, meaning in descent, and the nations of the world control the person, and the nations of the world are generally called will to receive for one's own benefit, then the Creator is also in exile for them. In other words, they have no importance of the Creator, since if they had importance of the greatness of the Creator, they would not be able to rule over the Israel in him. As is known, Israel means Yashar Kel, straight to the Creator, when all of one's actions are straight to the Creator, but by their control, they make all of one's actions be only for his own sake. This is called for the sake of the will to receive, and not for the sake of the Creator. It follows that when the quality of Israel is in exile, the Creator is in exile with them too, meaning that the desire to bestow is in exile, and the one to whom they want to bestow is in exile, as it is written about what Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice?" That is, he denied the greatness of the Creator and did not allow to believe in the greatness of the Creator. So the quality of Israel is in exile within them. According to the above, we can interpret what we asked. Why does he say that it is as though Israel are saved and as though he is saved? That is, what is the connection between the redemption of Israel and the redemption of the Creator? According to the above, it follows that the exile of Israel and the exile of the Creator are the same. Since when a person attains and feels the greatness of the Creator, the nations of the world have no control and they are annulled before him. Hence, it follows that the whole exile is that we do not know his greatness. In the matter of concealment that one feels, which causes him to be in exile, a person should know that he must correct his actions so they are in order to bestow. Otherwise, there will be shame. Hence, there must be concealment and hiding on the upper light, to the extent of the sensation of evil. When one sees how immersed he is in self-love, to that extent he sees that he is far from Kedusha, holiness. That is, he sees that he is far from doing anything for the sake of the Creator, and he is under the governance of the nations of the world, while the quality of Israel in it is completely powerless to emerge from their exile. For this reason, when the Israel in him emerges from exile and is rewarded with redemption, the Creator too, who was covered from him during the exile because of the governance of the nations, now appears and the greatness of the Creator becomes revealed. This is so because now there is no longer a need for the tzimtzum and concealment, since the tzimtzum has been lifted from him, following the rule, to the extent that one wants to aim to bestow, to that extent the tzimtzum and concealment are removed from him. This is the meaning of the verse, "We will sing in your salvation, and in that day the Lord will save Israel." It is written, "will save," as though Israel are saved and as though he is saved.
Yes.
He repeated for the sake of the Creator several times. How can you do something that will be for the sake of the Creator?
I don't know. You have a mother?
Yeah.
You have. Is she telling you to do something with her?
Yeah.
Yes, good. You understand that if you do what she's asking, you'll give her contentment.
Yeah.
That's the meaning of to the benefit of the mother.
But he has no chisaron. He is perfect.
When your mother is asking you to do something, does she think about herself or about you?
But how does it work together? That she both thinks about me and also doesn't need anything for herself?
Because she only thinks about you, out of love. Out of love, if you will do good to yourself, you will cause her contentment. Same thing with the Creator. He doesn't need anything. He is whole, perfect, but he wants to see you whole and perfect. To see you as whole is whole like him. So the more you will be like him, you will cause him contentment. Try it.
Thank you.
He
says here that the exile is that we do not acknowledge his greatness. The correction for it is that a person has to correct his actions for them to be in order to bestow. What's the connection? What's the relation between attaining none else besides him and in order to bestow?
We need to reach equivalence of form with the Creator. That is the goal of creation. That's mandatory. If we don't want it, like loyal parents, they will beat a child up until he becomes a good child, because they understand there's no choice. Their love to him will necessitate them to beat him up. Spare the rod and hate the son. Of course, it's not the desired way. It's not the way of love. And that's why you have two paths, the path of Torah and the path of suffering. And it's not like these two paths are, one is going this way and one is going that way. They're both intertwined, and in each and every moment on my path, if I don't advance in the right direction or in the right pace, I immediately feel, I myself invite from the Creator's absolute love towards me, I invite from it such a reaction. Positive or negative, negative or positive, and so on and so forth. So this reaction is building me. Now the question is, to what extent am I aware, conscious, aware of the fact that I'm constantly under the dominion and the supervision of the Creator over me in each and every moment. Now something passes through my thought, something goes through my desire, my movement, in all my bones. In all of my bones. All my bones will declare what He's doing in me. Then I have to be constantly in it. That there is none else besides Him, is arranging me in my current state, and from my current state He's giving me a certain degree of freedom. And how I will fulfill this freedom with my tendency to become like Him, or to become like my Pharaoh. Meaning either according to the bad or according to the good. You can call it whatever you want. That's it. This is our free choice. That's the whole work.
So seemingly we can describe this state within the quality of reception. What's the need to reach in order to bestow, in order to hold on to none else besides Him? What's the relation between these?
I cannot be similar to the Creator if I will not be in order to bestow. For Him, to bestow is simple. It's His nature. For me, to bestow is to receive in order to bestow. Because I was created with the force of bestow, force of reception, opposite of him. Why? To exist. And then to take upon my will to receive a form, a clothing, a desire to bestow.
In order to be like the Creator, obviously I have to be in order to bestow. I'm talking about none else besides Him, about the matter of none else besides Him, holding on to the greatness of the Creator. What's the need to be in order to bestow?
I don't understand the question. There's none else besides Him. I must, in order to truly remove all my confusions that are pulling me into any other directions, that there are other causes to my existence, for my existence. There is nothing more, only one force. If I'm confused, then I think of 1,000 forces. I'm descending from the degree of the Creator, the one source, to 10,000 sources that are all influencing me, and that's a lie. I'm completely detaching from the line towards the truth.
In Egypt, we're in a state where we are holding on to none else besides Him or not?
You cannot hold on to there's none else besides Him. Rather, yes and no, no and yes. But in Egypt, it's already the work towards the Creator. Yes, towards the Creator. It's not detached from the Creator. Only in the beginning, we think that with our ego, we can advance towards Him. This is called the 7 years of satiation. In agreement with the Pharaoh, in agreement with the ego, in agreement with everyone, we all can connect, and in our connection we can attain the next world, the upper force, because the Creator is good and benevolent. He wants us to discover the upper world, to live in wholeness, in unity, thanks to the will to receive. And it already appears to me that I'm in the world of Ein Sof. Yeah? These are 7 years of satiation.
So the matter is how to correctly hold on to none else besides Him, whether it's in order to receive or in order to bestow?
Yes. Tzviko.
I want to ask about how he begins the article. He says that the Creator made a correction so that when we receive the delight and pleasure from the Creator, we'll not feel shame. What shame is he talking about? Why do I have to feel shame?
You don't understand shame. I understand that you don't understand what shame is. The shame that he's talking about here is something else. It's not shame because I was caught and now they're writing about me in all the papers or on TV. That's not the right shame. It's shame because I'm not similar to the Creator.
This is the root of shame?
This is the root of shame from the world of Ein Sof. That's the reason for the first restriction. The Creator is not like the Creator. Like the examples he's given me later about the host and the guest, then the host has given me everything, and I discover myself as the receiver, different than him. And then I hate this quality of reception, specifically because I can't get rid of it. Look what he's done to me. I can hate something in me, this evil that's in me, and I cannot get rid of it. On the contrary, I constantly demand it, otherwise I cannot live in each and every moment. Only when I say I'm better off dead than alive, I get rid of the bad, of the evil, and the Creator suddenly reveals to me there is life above receiving. But in effect, I live in order to receive out of this pleasure. I cannot escape it. I cannot do anything to such an extent that I hate him and I must have him. You understand this situation? So terrible. In that we discover our 10 plagues. I don't know how to get rid of it. I feel it is poison, and I have to receive it. Otherwise, how will I live? I live off of this poison. I must have this snake. I'm just so it doesn't escape me. If it escapes me, from me, I'm dead. I have nothing to enjoy, nothing to receive pleasure from. My life is finished. I'm better off dead, just not to feel life without pleasure.
How do I stop being ashamed?
Shame of what?
If there is, like he says, what you're saying about shame.
There are 4 degrees to shame. You can say 125, but let's say 4. First of all, if I'm adhere to the Creator, I'm not ashamed. I can adhere to Him beastly, corporeally. I'm a person, yes. He created me, yes. Go to the craftsman that made me.
Every degree has shame? In every degree there's shame?
Of course. The shame is the only thing that obligates us to rise to a higher and higher degree.
It's the first time that I hear this.
What's the incentive? What's the motivation to rise? Shame.
Shame.
Recognition of evil.
Recognition of evil. And shame is the same? And then he says that the correction is that before a person has the desire to bestow, the thing is that in order to be in equivalence of form, it is impossible to receive the real abundance that the Creator wants to give the creatures.
Yeah, the good and benevolent that He wants to give is in bestowal. And if you're in reception, how will you feel it?
So until I will reach His level, I won't feel good?
No, you can reach His degree by equalizing with 125 degrees. At 1 divided by 125, you're already in some extent with Him.
And before that?
You feel it. Before that, you're here.
Is there good and benevolent or not?
There's always good who does good, always and in everything, because it's bringing us to the goal. But it's not that you're discovering it, because you lack the vessels to reveal Him. You don't understand Him.
The good that does good that you're talking about, it doesn't mean that suddenly I feel good in life. Yeah, it brings me to the goal. This is the good and benevolent that you're talking about. Does He do something good physically to me?
He's good who does good because He's changing your vessels to allow you to understand what is good and benevolent.
But what about me? What about my day-to-day life? Do I get anything good as a result?
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, you say it yourself. Your life is only in order to bring you to a state where you will choose the true life. And to say, wicked such as me are in their lives are called dead.
What I'm asking is, there are 2 ways. The path of hastening and the path of in due time. So if I choose the path of hastening, working with the friends, doing everything, do I get something good as a result in life, in my physical life, or not?
Of course. Why? I'll tell you why. Because you are changing your own values. And then, in those new values, you discover better life. But it's not that your life today, compared to yesterday, will change by themselves for the good. Rather, according to your new values, you see better in them. No, it's clear that that's how it is. Why? Because each one is flowing according to his own flaws. You have to change in your qualities, and then you'll see the world much better. The world is all good. The light of Ein Sof is filling all of reality. So, did the world change? Yeah, why did it change?
Oh, because I see suddenly things that...
Why do you see suddenly?
That's the question.
Because you changed.
I changed?
Yes. It's not like in our mechanical world that the world is changing. The Creator does it so. But even in there, the world doesn't change. Rather, we all change internally without our knowledge. And we call it that the world is changing. We are in the light of Ein Sof. Light, white light everywhere. But towards it, we are totally opposite. And slowly our desire changes, and it appears to us as if the world is changing. But if you change at a greater pace according to the pressure of your desire, your request, then for you the world is changing much faster. And then suddenly, instead of this world, you're seeing, I'm suddenly on the temporal axis. I'm skipping to the 7th millennium.
So, when a person chooses to take the path of hastening, he's with the 10 and everything, he has less problems because he's directed correctly.
You're accumulating these problems, and you feel them in a shorter time, kind of dense, thick, one next to the other. That's the meaning of Israel sanctifies times, assembling the time, accumulating the times. But for this, you have to exert, and then you receive. This is called the time leap.
So, how can Passover help us do it together?
That we will already go through this part that will escape this Egypt.
And that's better? No, really, it's a question.
Good or truth? What do you prefer?
I prefer the good.
You need to go.
The question is, what is good and what's the truth?
There's a difference.
What is it?
Good is your belly, and the truth is for the point in the heart. You decide. You decide.
Give
it to your neighbor. You're his neighbor.
Why can the development come only atop this gap that we talked about? Why is it impossible to develop in any other way?
As light excels from darkness. How can you do it otherwise? We don't have any other discernments except for reception and bestowal, because we are feeling creatures. So how, in your will to receive, can you appreciate the discernments? If you appreciate them according to how I receive more and more and more according to my desire, then you are on the degree of the animal beast. If a point in the heart awakens, then already next to the will to receive, there's a point of truth. And you are in this state of disquiet between these two discernments. So either truth or pleasure, truth or pleasure. Sometimes you prefer this, sometimes you prefer that, and then you have this disquiet, discomfort, you don't know what to do until you come to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And you begin to scrutinize. Why do you need that? What for? Where is it coming from? And then they teach you how to hold on to these two reins and to drive yourself to a state where both the pleasure and the truth will be as one. Because for the time being, when you're here, when you keep developing, it appears incorrect. Look in the world. Truth, where is it? You don't even see it. And pleasure, also takes such distorted forms that it's not pleasure. And the wisdom of Kabbalah arranges both of them together, that the pleasure and the truth are both in bestowal, unlimited.
In the work in the 10, we first have to feel the bad, and only then the advancement will come.
You feel bad only to the extent that it is helping you to rise above it. Otherwise, you'll never leave it.
I'll tell you what I consider as what bad is. It's hard for us to connect, to do things together. This is what I consider bad. I'm talking about my 10, but
if it will be easy for you to connect, to perform acts of bestowal, what would it cause you?
maybe, but
why is it bad? Let it be good. I'm drawn to the society, to bestow, to dissemination, to all those things, to connection, embrace. Look, we have everything, all the good, let's do it, right? Also, our life on earth. How many countries you have, how many nations, technology, whatever you want. Let's live the good life. Why is the Creator ruining everything? Look what He's doing between us with each passing day.
I don't even know how to ask.
There's nothing to ask. Otherwise, you will never want Him. You will never need Him. And the good is when you connect with Him. That's why He created all those things opposite in order to show you that the good can be only in this way, only in the form of absolute bestowal.
It's kind of funny the way I ask it. When I'm asking it makes me laugh. Is there a point where you start enjoying the bad because you know that something good will come as a result? Because when I say bad, you really feel the gap.
Of course. When you say about Pharaoh that this thing is necessary, it did good to you, it helped you escape this ego, and He who has brought Israel closer to our Father in the heaven, of course, yes.
And when will we reach this kind of attitude, relation in the 10, that despite all the difficulties we see in our connection, not in our personal life,
this is called recognition of evil. You'll come to it. You'll come and you'll decide that there's no choice. We must work correctly with the Pharaoh. That's truly helpful. An angel. There isn't a more loyal angel than Pharaoh, our ego, our evil inclination, the serpent. That from the other side, specifically, all of the medicine, all the remedies come out. Guys, your daily task, okay.
Daily task from Kiev.
Задание дня от дежурных десяток.
The daily task. During the day, every friend makes an effort, increases his effort in every possible way in order to help the friends connect everything that happens to none else besides him. Again, during the day, every friend increases his efforts in every possible way to help the friends tie everything that goes on to none else besides him. And you're invited to the Zohar lesson live with Dr. Leitman this evening at 6 p.m. Israel time. And now about the New Jersey Congress, please, Asaf.
בקצב מאוד טוב, מאוד מאוד טוב. אנחנו חודש וחצי לפני הכנס.
I want to say that registration is advancing very well. We have 370 registered people a month and a half before the Congress. It's very good compared to past years. Also, together with that, we know that there aren't too many requests for help. Chaver, we know that people need that help. Rav, we know people are sometimes shy, ashamed to ask. There's a barrier in their heart. You can explain, talk a little bit about this thing about a person needing help, because there is a fund.
Well, first of all, this fund is one that usually have to give the money back. There may be a few friends that they get help where they don't have to pay the money back, but usually that's how it is. Therefore, I don't understand where do people get the shame from. It's like going to the bank. Only here, you're given an amount of money without interest, without commitment, like in the bank that you have to do something there, and with all the paperwork and everything. I really recommend anyone who really has a problem, and this is the matter of one's connection to the group. Everyone has to do the math. Are those few $100s really the thing that are standing in my way of being with the friends that I would have paid them for sure, but I don't know where to get them? And we have friends that are really in difficult states. America isn't what it used to be. And so I'm telling you that you must turn to help Chavel. And then, throughout the year, you'll give it back, $20 a month. So please, we have a fund, and we have to use it. There could be only one thing, that a person doesn't come to the Congress because he doesn't have the money. That's the last possible thing. You must ask for the money and give it back later, but you have to come to the Congress.
Okay, so just go to the website, one.kabbalah.info. There's a very clear link for Help Chaver. You fill the form. It's very easy. Anyone who needs it will see the slide, not this. One.kabbalah.info, the Congress slide, and on the website you can turn to Help Chaver, help a friend, and you can receive all the help you need.
And all of us as one. The Kabbalah Olam Congress in North America, we're inviting everyone to the North American Congress and the World Congress in New Jersey from the 3rd to the 6th of May. For further information, one.kabbalah.info. And now let's summarize the lesson. We have 2 minutes to do it silently.
Every
friend is invited to share his summary on Sviva Tova. Have a good day and a good night.
המקום עליו אנו דורכים, האוויר שאנו נושמים, עם ריחות ילדות וחברים, הבית עם השירים, כך גדלנו עם להבת הנר, יורד בפנים,
מניע אותנו אלפי שנים מעל גלי החיים. זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן,
זה הזמן לאהבה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לנשמה,
זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן,
זה הזמן לאהבה,
זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן,
זה הזמן לנשמה.
פתחו לי פתח כחודו של מחט,
אני אפתח כפתחו של אולם, את הברית הזאת ביחד נממש עם כל העולם, ניתן לאור לחדור אל חדרי הלב,
למעוף של בוקר יום.
הנה באה יונה לבנה עם הלב, בפיה ברכת שלום.
זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לאהבה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לנשמה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לאהבה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לנשמה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לאהבה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן לנשמה, זה הזמן, זה הזמן, זה הזמן,